Good morning, it's July 15th, Thursday, and I am back in the region Nook on what is at the moment a cool and blustery morning with a nice hot cup of tea and a pile of parcels. So I'm going to grab one off the top and dig into it. So, as you can tell, I've already been in this one, and I know I'm getting really near the end of this one. So, the box out, and what we've got is that, and I pulled quite a few things out of this because this is the complete version of everything in it, because it's how I picked it up on eBay. So so far, of course, core rulebook. Just move that out of the way. There we go. So, core rulebook, border crossing, and basically written for Mercenaries, Spies, and Private Eyes, and Espionage. Mugshots 1, The Curse of the Pacific Clipper by Dave Anderson, basically solo scenario. Another solo scenario, The Adventure of J. Jaguar by Michael Stackpole. Second edition of the rules for Mercenaries, Spies, and Private Eyes. Second issue of Mugshots, Taking Care of Business, book of maps, and a town location as well as a solo adventure. Raid on Rajlapur scenario from Grenadier Models Inc. And let's see if I get, here we go, and the last, here we go, that's it. Okay, the last thing out of that box is Stormhaven. So, a Game Master scenario package for a modern role-playing game by Michael Stackpole. Stormhaven contains 156-page book of personalities, grand descriptions and scenarios, one 8-page book of maps and floor plans, character stats for Mercenary, Spies, and Private Eyes, and Espionage again, and 23 cardboard heroes made for use with this package. So here we go. Let's just have a look at that. So you can actually do that. Thunder shatters the stillness of the night, while hulking monsters walk Savage Island. Well-paid mercenaries stalk the renegade tigers in a race to prevent the theft of confidential industrial secrets. A KGB officer is found dead of a strange disease, clutching a note that suggests that an unsuspected spy lurks inside Stormhaven. Stormhaven is the setting for contemporary role-playing game adventures. Set on Savage Island in Lake Champlain, Stormhaven is a fine mansion owned by Kenneth Allard, president of Allard Technologies. Life at Stormhaven is lived in a grand style, and the secret work that goes on in the laboratory and beneath the mansion is innovative. Many interesting guests, most of them with more than one reason to visit, can be found in Stormhaven. Stormhaven contains 2 booklets, one descriptions of buildings, people, procedures and adventures, the other maps and floor plans. Stats for Mercenary, Spies, and Private Eyes and Espionage are included. As an added bonus, enclosed are 23 cardboard heroes for the main characters and security teams, created exclusively for this adventure. So the first thing you'd know is this is a folio adventure. Essentially, you have you've got basically like that. So, and it's not a format that's often used because it's more expensive to put together. And in this instance, as you can see, this is relatively new. It is not new. It's slightly damaged, but essentially, it doesn't fit in the box. I mean, the other main one I can think of is perhaps Grimrock Isle, which is a scenario for Call of Cthulhu, a solo scenario for Call of Cthulhu. But there have been others as well. So what have we here? Let's go basically. So pulling open, the first thing we have is the maps and floor plans of Stormhaven and environs. So key to all the maps on the back, and then Savage Island and Stormhaven basement lab, complete with auto gyro in the corner for that basically getaway vehicle for your villain. So basement lab and ground floor. Oh, ground floor. I was going to ground floor because essentially this is an American product. They're still putting a ground floor on the first floor, and then we have servants floor and upper floor. So it's quite a large building, and there's basically lots of for a large number of rooms. So for an quite an extensive map. So underneath that, we have a Bladed Division of Flying Buffalo, August 1983. We have a catalogue. I always like game catalogues because it's fascinating to see what was in print at the time. So obviously this one we are focusing on Tunnels and Trolls, Grimtooth's Traps, and Nuclear War. And the City Book as well, of course. And we open up essentially just lots of basically content description and book descriptions for the would-be purchaser, and so big page on Tunnels and Trolls. But I mean that doesn't take in just the amount of content there is available for Tunnels and Trolls over the years. And then we've got Game Master Adventures, a couple of other things. Sorry, yeah, just more, and obviously Nuclear War at the back. And I recently reviewed Nuclear War because it's an anniversary edition. So you've also got, here are the cardboard heroes to cut out and use, and these are, let's have a look. So basically, and then you've got the villains of the piece, and then some kind of monster there. I don't know what that is, but that's giving some kind of clue of some of the research that's going on. And if you have a look inside the back cover of the folio, what you have is a nice cutaway view of the house, and then maps of locations around the island. I like that. It's basically, there's a very architectural feel to the design of this in some extent. I always like that. So then we get to the personality descriptions and scenarios for Stormhaven and Environs. Solid blue book, and this runs to 55 pages. There's basically following up on the cardboard heroes. There's even another advert for cardboard heroes on the back, because Steve Jackson Games was one of the things it was famous for a long period of time was the range of cardboard heroes. It would sell, because essentially you could basically buy a lot of cardboard heroes instead of your miniatures, because miniatures are expensive by comparison. So we get into we should leap straight in the first scene. What's interesting here is I noted there's a dedication to Walter Gibson and Lester Dent, both important figures in the creation of the character of the Shadow, Ken Allard, and he figures into this story. Not necessarily the Shadow himself, but basically the name Kent Allard. So here we go. And beyond that, I mean, I can't obviously say anything more than that because of how he is used in here, but he obviously figures somehow. I've got corporate history, and then we go into the main character himself is Kenneth Allard, not Kent Allard, and we go into the people of Stormhaven. And these don't have any stats, they're just descriptions, so you could take this and just write up your own stats if you wanted to. That would be relatively easy, and obviously you base them upon the stats in the back, because that would give you some idea of the skills and abilities they've got. So, you know, we literally we go on from the Allard family, then the staff, household maid, stable staff, culinary staff, gardening staff. Then we go on to the guests. I don't know. There's a Count Vlad Tepescu. Yes, I don't know whether we're basically powerfully built and strong beyond his ear, lean feline nature about him. Let's not just speculate on whether or not he is a. He could be one of two people. Could be Prince Vlad of Wallachia, or Cheer, the long dead individual known as Dracula. So you can send that off into the direction of horror if you want to. Lady Victoria Burke-Jones comes from a fine family in the Midlands. I just spotted that. There we go. Island security, tigers, and there's a floor plan of their sort of security centre. And here's a nice view of the house. So you've got the house, the security centre, and so on. That's really quite. It gives you a nice overview. So I'm really getting a nice impression of sort of like the sort of just how complete this book is, just how detailed. Essentially somewhere on a heavily forested hill on the island is altar. Well, let's not speculate too much about what that's used for. Although some lines written on the slab, which some people claim to be Ogham. It could be an ancient Celtic artifact. But essentially, that all depends whether or not you want to be. If you want to run a strange campaign, the tomb could link to the entrance to the realm of fairy. In fact, you might use it to bring some colour into your campaign, say a colour out of space. So you could turn this into something Lovecraftian, and there's the Auto Gyro. So basically, there is. With the inclusion of the Auto Gyro, there's something very quite sort of 30s to it, but at the same time, there's scope here to set it in the modern day. And this was set in the modern day when it was written. It's got computers and technology and that kind of thing. And again, I sort of like nice illustrations in here. Full description of the Stormhaven, sort of like each floor by floor. You've got a site from Masquerade, the Grand Ballroom. So if you wanted to do that King of Yellow thing, right through, and then we go on to scenarios. We have Night Watch, which shows the original Allard dwelling on Savage Island, built around the turn of the century, turn of the 20th century, of course. At the turn of the millennium, and then we have basically Crom Sacrifice, Tiger Trap, different scenarios. So basically what you've got is quite a versatile package here. Really, how you basically think about how you want to use this. So you're basically Corrupting Death, and lots of scenarios. So there's 3 scenarios, 3 options, and there are other suggested. Then we go on to the stats for the personalities in here. There we go. And last but not least, we've got espionage conversions as well. With on the back, weapons used in Stormhaven not listed in Espionage. So you get a bit of extra information if you're using Espionage. So that's Stormhaven. And the last thing that you get in the box for Mercenaries, Spies and Private Eyes, which was recently republished using following a Kickstarter campaign. So this essentially is not a scenario as such. It's a source pack where with content which you can use to run different scenarios. Depending upon the tone and feel of the game that you want to run. And if you can find a copy, I would think that it is easy to adapt to the role-playing game of your choice, easily updated to a modern setting, or basically put back in the 50s or 30s, take it into the 1960s for a kind of sort of that pulpy Avengers style thing, and set it on an island off the coast of the UK. You could do that too with it. So it's quite a flexible package. Well, thank you for watching another unboxing in the Nook. If you've enjoyed this in this one, please do click the like button down below. If you have feedback or questions and so on, then please do basically use the comment section. Do take the time to read those and respond. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to more unboxings in the Nook, essentially, and get alerts when there is another video from me with a nice hot cup of tea, and a box, and something to basically talk about for 10 minutes, then please do click that subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.